back to Everyday Struggle on Complex, Nadeska, Akademiks, and Wayno here with you on a beautiful Monday morning. What's good, guys?
Good. What's poppin'? What's the deal?
Good, how was that weekend?
I had a long weekend. I was out on the West Coast.
Yo, you on tour? I am
on tour.
Nadeska on tour.
Super School Live tour. No, I was out there hosting the XQ, like Super School Live. That pop-up thing I told you guys I was doing.
Right.
Met some cool people. Naomi Campbell was out there.
Oh, shit. You hanging with the stars.
They came out to support education. It's important, you guys.
Lit. I didn't do
your weekends?
much of anything this weekend.
That's why you're in such a good mood right now?
Yes, absolutely. I have energy to give this morning.
Yeah, I was too busy listening to Dave's new project, Psychodrama. That shit's fire. Everybody go check him out.
That's a kid from the UK, right?
Yeah. If you haven't,
you're finally supporting the UK act.
I've been supporting
the UK. Now, you've been making jokes.
Kate's the only nigga who think I don't.
I'm gonna sign somebody from the UK.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to the UK and find somebody to sign.
Yo, that dude album is fire. You know, but salute to the whole UK. Anyway, let's get to some
So why don't
bullshit.
we what? All right, let's not. We're gonna talk about ScHoolboy Q, and that is definitely not bullshit. So we know. Don't worry, I switched it around. We couldn't start with the bullshit. It's too early in the day for this. So last week we were talking about ScHoolboy Q teasing new music. We didn't know if it was gonna be a song or an album, but we got a song, and we're thankful for it. The track is called Numb Numb Juice. So this is like the first song we've heard from him in almost 3 years, like his own solo music. A nod to some classic E40 Bay Area slang on this one. What'd you guys think of the track?
It was all right. I think there's no long breakdown for me with this track. It's a cool track. It's a kind of like fun track for me.
Okay.
I haven't heard a ScHoolboy Q track in a while, so for him to come back, and seems like this is probably an apparent rollout. For him to come back with a fun track, I think it's kind of cool. You know, it didn't jump off the page as anything outstanding to me, but I didn't mind it.
Okay.
I was surprised it was so short. It's only like a minute and like 48 or 50 seconds or something like that.
Getting with the times, man. Niggas ain't making long-ass songs no more, man.
Yeah, but I mean, I was happy to hear something from solely him. I mean, he's on the Black Panther soundtrack. You get sprinkles of him here and there, but like, it was good. It was good. For me, it's making me more excited for an album, which now I don't really care for rollouts the way I used to. Now it's just like, give me an album.
Right.
We haven't heard anything in a while, but I think it's going to lead to something all right for him.
I care about the TDE rollout. I want to see what a TDE rollout looks like in 2019.
Well, this one came with a video as well. So short song, but also some visuals.
So I just feel like they're so meticulous in the process of releasing music that their rollout is going to be something more than just like, here it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm guessing this is something to get us prepared for what's coming next. And I could imagine there's probably a song or two more coming before we get an album. So we'll see. We'll see. At least it wasn't what we thought it was. We thought it was just going to be cover art.
You thought it was going to be cover
Stop
art.
it, man.
I thought it was going to be an album. I really thought he was going to drop his album. Yeah, I thought he was going to drop his album.
Spontaneous?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's the era we in now. It's like people they say, all right, in 2 days, I got something for you, and then it's a whole fucking 20-song album, so, you know, or a doc with an album. So I'm thinking it was going to be out.
Let's see. Hopefully we get more of it this week, whatever it is. Last week was also the 4-year anniversary of To Pimp a Butterfly. So TDE's President Punch shared sort of like an interesting story, something that happened behind the scenes at the time. We know like the album felt slightly left field for some Kendrick fans. So he said he had a conversation with Jay-Z during the process of To Pimp a Butterfly. I told him we're about to drop this album that's going to challenge and possibly piss off our fan base. Jay said, good, do it now, and they'll never be able to put y'all in a box. He was right. We've had this conversation before, especially when it comes to artists like an A Boogie. You branch out, the core fan base might not be feeling what you did, but apparently Jay thinks it's always a good move.
I felt like that album still fit like who Kendrick was, though. You know, I think that people expected different things from him, but he had did a performance. I think it was Jimmy Kimmel or somebody, or Stephen Colbert, is that the right? Stephen Colbert. Yeah. He had did a performance on there, and then he didn't put that song out into the Untitled album. So I think like they was just throwing everybody off with everything. But overall, it was a really, really good album. It didn't seem like really, really left field from Kendrick, where like the A Boogie shit he was doing, like, you know, the Afro beats music. He did a lot of things to step all the way out his lane. This it just
the content
coming
still
off
fit. I guess
Kid.
Left field in terms of like Good Kid or
Man
like
City,
Section
right.
80. Production-wise, it was a little bit more digestible. This one took a lot of like listens to really like understand a lot of things you were talking about. Just a thinking album.
Well, comparing it, if we're just saying left field efforts, like we're comparing to A Boogie, and also in relation to what Jay said or the advice that Jay gave Top Dog, honestly, I don't think it put him in a box. I think Kendrick's just Kendrick. I think what it did is that when I saw that album, I'm like, damn, this nigga Kendrick will not compromise. He's not, I don't want to say sell out, but he wouldn't compromise for commercial success.
Yeah.
That was the point he should have, to hit the home run for commercial success.
Yeah.
You know, I think A Boogie's effort, which was left field, was trying to broaden and globalize his brand and globalize his music. I think with Kendrick, I think he just said, all right, cool. Got all the success from Good Kid, Mad City, but how about I target really where my message is at? And also, fine if it doesn't sell well. Fine if some of y'all don't receive it. Fine if I lose some of y'all who was rocking the first time because y'all was infatuated by the beats and other things that was associated with the album. It showed me something about his character more than anything else.
Because the timing of the album was very important too, right? There was so much going on, so much like upheaval, police shooting unarmed people every single day.
Right.
Like those songs came at like a time I feel like culturally we really needed it.
Right, absolutely. And I think when he with going global, he did that more on Damn. Like Damn had more like global sounds. He had U2 on it. Like he went a little bit more left to me on Damn than he did on To Pimp a Butterfly.
Y'all were really hating on that U2 feature, and then everyone heard it, and they're like, oh, I couldn't even tell it was them on here.
Yeah, nah, I fucked with it. Like, I mean, Damn is one of my favorite. Good Kid, Mad City, I say Section 80, but Good Kid, Mad City is like one of the best albums to me ever. But Damn kind of went left field for me because he tried a lot of sounds I didn't think he would try, but it worked overall. So it's like with Kendrick, there's no telling what he could possibly do. I don't know what to expect from him, ever. Like.
Again, when To Pimp a Butterfly came out, I actually thought it was an attempt, Untitled and To Pimp a Butterfly. I thought it was an attempt by a mainstream superstar to like kind of shake off that just mainstream shit and just kind of go on the ground again.
Yeah.
And again, we've seen other artists shit. We've seen, well, even though we could blame it on label issue, we've seen with Lupe. Like, not everybody wants to be the person who's just making these type of songs that everybody's rocking with. Sometimes that's not the core of your artistry. So, I don't know. But if that's what really inspired it, I can't knock it.
Yeah.
Can't knock it. Good advice by Jay.
Right.
Discography is still flawless. I mean, if you ask me, all these projects age very well.
Absolutely.
Ak, before we get into our extremely silly stories for the rest of this episode, will you please take us through some numbers?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I've talked to so many people this week, and everybody is in shock about Juice WRLD's Death Race for Love, like the sales for it, because people, you know how some albums are like cultural?
Yeah.
People can't figure out who the hell's listening to this album, yet it's doing like really good streams, and it just sold 165,000 records the first week.
That's amazing.
And if you think about it, most of them weren't even just streams. A lot of them were traditional sales, which means people actually purchased the actual album. 43,000 of those were traditional album sales. If you look at it, when you think about it, for example, Quavo's album, Quavo put out his album, sold like 99,000 the first week. It was like less than 5,000 were actually real sales or like pure sales. So you guys salute to Juice WRLD. Somehow that emo music that, you know, we would be joking about, that's selling.
So theories then on who's the fan base that's actually physically purchasing these albums?
I'm going to a Juice WRLD concert just like I went to a Russ concert. I got to figure out who's there. Seriously.
Okay.
Well, I think for me, it's gonna be like a lot of like young kids. I think that his age range is probably between like 10 kids that's maybe like 10, 11 years old up until like maybe 19, 20-ish. You know what I mean? Like it seems like a lot of high schoolers. I mean, a lot of
Are high
school
schoolers
kids
spending more money than older? Like,
I mean, all you gotta do
or...
is really just stream it, right?
Well, I mean, for the 43K, again, I'm gonna do a little bit more investigation, but I'm also tying that into.
Investigation.
Do you like talk to the fans in the audience, or you just
no?
go, like watch?
I talk to Nielsen. I'm like, how the fuck this happened?
Nah, I mean when you go to these concerts.
Oh, no.
People be like, you Akademiks, you be like, huh?
No. As far as like understanding someone's fan base,
Yeah.
like I think that is the way you have to
agree.
kind of get into it to figure out, because sometimes you might be like, yo, damn, nobody who relates to me listens to this shit. Who does? For the 43K though, I was thinking the packaging and the bundling. Again, the V-Lone shirts, they again very hype bees, commodity type of item. They were packaged with the album. Some people noticed that those were selling really quickly. Maybe that contributed to the 43K, but I don't want to knock him for doing 43K of just pure sales. Maybe homie just hot.
Congratulations, 165K is amazing.
He's definitely hot. Can't take that from him.
That thrusts him into the top, that top echelon of new artists. I feel like you have him, Uzi. Who else is up there as new artists?
Has he surpassed some people now who haven't been putting out music or who are underselling?
Can't put him in there with. I mean, I'm not saying not to put him in there with Uzi, but Uzi ain't no new artist. Like,
well, I mean,
Uzi been out for like 5 years now.
No, I get it, but like Uzi's still on. Technically, he's about to be sophomore album.
Yeah, but he's dropped like 10 projects. Like.
But at least the new wave of artists that we're talking about, because he sounds like a Uzi, a Trippy, like in that realm. And then I think we've been striving to figure out which of those artists will actually do sales. Like, look at Lil Pump. Like, no disrespect to Lil Pump, but you know,
he's not talented as Juice WRLD though.
Yeah, but the music is also not selling as well.
It's
you
not
know?
as good.
Like, when we usually lump the newer rappers into a category, we usually have two things in common for most of them. Y'all ain't gonna last too long, and y'all don't sell like the other rappers that we discuss a lot. So he's breaking ground. So congrats to Juice WRLD.
All right, you guys ready for silly story time here Monday on
I just wanted to talk about Kodak today. That's why I came here today. I ain't gonna lie to you.
All right, so before we get to Kodak, man, it's just like a very slow news week. Come on, you guys. You told me this was okay. All right, you know what? Let's just skip to Kodak. I don't like the reactions I'm getting already. Can we? Excuse us. Oh, man. All right, so on Saturday, Kodak Black hopped on Instagram Live to share a story about an alleged altercation he had with Sticky Fingaz from Onyx. According to Kodak, this all started when his cousin allowed Sticky on the bus. And Kodak, please take it away.
The nigga Sticky Fingaz and shit, he got on one of my tour buses one time, right? The fuck nigga, he was like, I ain't like his old head energy, because I don't really like older people like that. You know, I'm a 90s baby, I don't got no respect for y'all. I ain't like how he was dancing. I ain't like his energy. I ain't like his little 70 baby, 80 baby, whatever, his generation vibe. I punched that nigga dead in shit. Rah! Hey, you hear me? Listen, I grabbed his bag, right? I'm talking about when I tried to shoot the nigga, this gun was fake. I'm like, man, what the fuck? So he went running.
All right,
Take it away, Akademiks.
Hey, man, I got to salute to Kodak, man. He's kept it consistently ignorant for a long time. Like,
He said I didn't like the way he was dancing.
He's
like
kept it
old head
consistently.
generation
He don't
vibe.
like the old head niggas, man. Like, again, I've been telling y'all, with some artists, after you've heard a certain amount of ignorant statements from them, you just got to let it rock. He's one of the, like many of the new artists who claim he don't like old head energy or old head individuals, whatever you want to call it. Do I believe it? Him and Sticky Fingaz, absolutely yes, man. Like, listen, after I watched, I'm like, why is Kodak talking so crazy? And I'm like, yo, Sticky Fingaz would probably watch this nigga. Then I was reminded by like this clip on YouTube of Sticky Fingaz.
The dude back in the day, the skateboarder dude.
Yeah, there was a celebrity boxing match with Sticky Fingaz and some white dude. I don't even know who it was.
He was a skateboarder.
Didn't turn out too well. So Kodak might be telling the truth. I think he says it so disrespectfully. It always comes down to this, and this is my opinion on most shit that Kodak Black says. Who gonna check him? Nobody. We're just gonna sit here and laugh, and it's gonna go on.
Why did he want to be on the bus to begin with? I need answers here.
Well,
why are both of them around each other?
No, listen, this is why, of course, I believed it, because why would Kodak be mentioning Sticky Fingaz, period? Or even know I wouldn't even think he knew who Sticky Fingaz was. But
he labeled him as the guy from Friday who was in the back of the police van with Debo.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's the only way he knows
I
it.
could see that happening because, sometimes there are older artists that want to meet younger artists, right? But the way he said he was dancing and shit, he probably was bugging out on the bus.
Like he danced onto the bus? Or
No. He said that his cousin brought him on. So his cousin probably seen him and was like, oh, shit, Sticky Fingaz. And he was like...
Come on. And then he started dancing
and
on
then
the bus?
He probably just started acting out of pocket. Like, he probably was off something, was in there having fun, or thought he was having fun.
There's too many things about this that don't make sense. Why does Sticky Fingaz have a fake gun in his backpack? Like, think about it, man. What are we doing out here? This whole shit don't sound right, but it don't sound like Kodak's a nigga who's lying.
Right.
But it feels like we're missing some other shit.
Well, we need some clarification.
From who?
From Sticky Fingaz.
Who's going to clarify this?
Hey, man, we need some clarification on Sticky. But honestly, like, it's just a wild mixture. I think Kodak and Sticky Fingaz being anywhere at the same time is not going to be good, just because they're two different sides of the coin. But Kodak is starting to remind me of old Gucci Mane. Remember when Gucci Mane was just very outspoken when they was calling him the boogeyman? He didn't give a fuck about what he said or anything because nobody was going to check him. He's giving me that.
But remember when he came home, I thought he was on another wave. Like, he was changing everything. Are we still on that wave?
Notice something about Kodak, though. When he's home for a long time, it's only a matter of time before he starts wilding on IG. Like every time he's home, he be chilling like when he first get home, and then like he starts going on IG Live, and he's just like a walking meme. Like everything he does and says is like comedy almost, but I think he's dead serious at all times.
I think this time's a little bit different though with Kodak. Kodak, he sounded much clearer. I don't want to accuse him of ever being on drugs, but this time around he sounded more clearer. Like before, he used to sound like he was speaking in cursive. Like you couldn't understand what the fuck he was saying. Nigga sound like a lawnmower. But now, like you could actually hear what he's saying. I think this is his personality. Like he's on Instagram Live a lot. At least at this point, I ain't seen him doing crimes on Instagram Live. He might be discussing them, but I think, you know, mostly he's telling jokes, he's laughing, you know, he's trolling a bit.
Trolling a lot. He's trolling Young M.A. too, why?
Yeah, and again, you got to realize he's moved out of Florida. He's supposedly living in L.A. or somewhere in California, and, you know, that's his way of still, like, kind of connecting. I'm not knocking it, but I'm going to just go back to saying, man, who going to check him? Big Kodak right there.
And any human being could get checked. But the thing about it is I don't know. Kodak is just an enigma. That's the only word I could use for.
What a word. Good job,
We gotta find Sticky Fingaz though. Like we need the rest of the story.
Is he on
man.
Twitter or something?
Because the drastic jump from I didn't like this nigga's old head energy and how he was dancing. What type of dance was he doing on the bus? He said I punched him dead in his shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Why was Sticky Fingaz dancing? Why was he on the bus? I just think it was a bad decision for him to even be around. You know what? This is what happens when a lot of, like, some, I'm not going to say a lot, because some older artists don't give a fuck about talking to a Kodak Black. But I think, like, if you want to meet somebody, have your exchange, all right, keep doing what you're doing, and keep it going. It sounds like he was just there. He outweighed his welcome. Like, he probably was there chilling, and then he started doing extra shit, and then, yeah, just went left.
Say he ain't like his 70s baby's energy. Like, say you'll
or
get
80s,
along with,
he's not even sure which decade it is.
The craziest thing is he has no idea about Onyx, nothing like that.
Yeah.
But shit, it's Kodak,
Listen,
man.
guys, I told you it was going to be silly stories. It's been a slow weekend, apparently. We were hoping for more music.
Listen, I do hope, though, on a little serious note, I hope people like him and like Uzi, who age shame so much. Uzi is, like, notoriously said anybody over 25 is an old head to him. I hope they realize at some point they will age, and I hope it.
Uzi gonna be, my fault, because Uzi gonna be like 25 this year.
Oh, really?
I can't wait to see Uzi when he's 30. That's gonna be.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I hope they realize, like, it's not that bad to, like, age past like 21.
It's gonna happen, or you're gonna die. There's literally no other option.
I think that shit is just so corny. When people say, "Oh, I don't like older,"
were we like this when we
No,
were
no,
like...
I never was disrespectful to people older than me. But two ages where I thought,
you probably right to put him like, I don't want to hear what the fuck they gotta say.
Nah, I never felt like that because older people saved my fucking life in my neighborhood. So, I would say that when I was 18 and when I was 21, I thought I knew every fucking thing. And even when I was 25, I thought I was the grownest person on the planet. And then I turned 30, and I'm like, the fuck was I thinking when I was 21? But Kodak, how old is Kodak?
I think Kodak, I have no idea, probably
like
20?
22, right? Like 21, 22.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But anyway, I never felt like I never disrespected anybody of any age.
21 allegedly.
21. All right, I never disrespected anybody of any age that didn't disrespect me. Like I feel like you get the respect you warrant, and I'm not gonna disrespect a person based on their age. With age comes wisdom. Like why? Like I don't get that whole wave and shit like that.
But also, again, going back to what I'm saying, it's really just Kodak keeping it consistent. I do believe his mentality on just like older artists or could even be older musicians is probably what makes him go at Wayne, right? Like again, he got pissed off because when he felt entitled that Wayne should have knew who he was. So when Wayne said in an interview, I didn't even know Kodak Black was even a name. Yeah, he got really offended. So one thing I think, you know, and on both sides, you know, respect goes both ways. Like for you can't say you don't give a fuck about older people or older artists and expect them to give a fuck about you. You get me?
True.
It's not gonna work like that, but vice versa as well.
You're gonna be that age
Hey,
one
we're
day.
excited to see you all grow up and then deal with the kids younger than you. That's life. It comes full circle.
Why did Kodak try to shoot the gun? Like I got so many questions. Like Kodak, like why would you even say that? Like yo, I pulled out his fake gun and I tried to shoot it. I hope that part was capped.
That nigga's wild. That's what I will say. That nigga's wild. He's untamed, man. Like that nigga's untamed. Ain't no telling with him. Ain't no telling.
As long as he's free for now.
All right, told you guys it was going to be silly stories today. On a slightly more serious note, so last week T.I. got on Instagram and said, when you get done bullshitting, riddle me this. Who since Tupac has maintained as much consistent diversity within music genres, businesses, and other opportunities? I'll wait. And I think someone in the comments mentioned Jay. He said much respect to the GOAT, but, you know, Jay hasn't really been in, like, feature films, etc. Does he have a point here?
I think he has a point. I think the thing with T.I. is, I mean, fortunately enough, like T.I. still here. You know, Tupac did a lot of that shit in a very short time because he was only 25, I think 26, oldest when he passed away. But when you look up T.I., this motherfucker been in movies with Marvel, with fucking Will Ferrell, Kevin Hart.
Oh, yeah, he was in Ant-Man,
He was
right?
in both Ant-Man movies. Like he's in a lot of different things. And then when you look at a lot of different artists, there's artists who I say like maybe a Ludacris, right? Ludacris, he's kept it consistent with film now, but his music hasn't matched like his film because I think he jumped more into film. But T.I.'s kept like a equal balance of people still loving his music and enjoying him in film. So I think he definitely has a point. The thing, every time somebody brings up Tupac, though, I think of like there's so much good things that Tupac was trying to get done, but a negative undertone, a real negative undertone, which kind of brought a lot of the bad situations on him. But you know, T.I. definitely has a point.
I see loose similarities. I mean, I think T.I. is just T.I. I don't think it's hard for me to, other than those loose similarities, it's hard for me to compare T.I. to Tupac. I think T.I., of course, is a legend within his own right. He'll go down as one, and he's a living legend at that. But for me to just compare or just like draw a direct comparison to Tupac because he's been in a couple films and he also is doing some business stuff and he still raps, it feels like a stretch to me.
Right, but I don't know if he's trying to make like a direct comparison, more saying like since him, has anyone been able to juggle all of these things as well?
I mean, Tupac was in some pretty serious. He was in movies with Tim Roth and James Belushi. You know, like Tupac did a lot of like big films at such a short time, and even T.I. like he's done big films. Like he's been in big blockbuster movies in a short time. So I think that the comparison is coming as to would both of them have a foot in the craft. Like, you know, he has a foot in the music and has a foot in the film. That's the comparison, not just the artist overall. Just the similarities in the things that they've accomplished. Because he's definitely, T.I., if you talk about him being in film and him being in music, he's definitely accomplished highly on both.
I mean, and again, because I love T.I., not to knock T.I.
And Tupac's your favorite rapper.
And Tupac is just the GOAT. But
I thought it was Drake.
Drake is not the GOAT. No, Drake's my favorite.
No, favorite
not
rapper.
The GOAT.
Whoa.
But like, I mean, if we're comparing shit, because since we mentioned Pac, are the movies that Pac was in compared to the movies that, and I'm talking about lead role, not just like you're one of the guys. The movies that Pac were in as the featured role compared to the movies that T.I. were in, do they really match up to each other?
I mean,
we got Takers and ATL, and we got...
You got Takers, you got ATL, you got
I feel like I'm missing one. What else?
Takers, ATL, you got Ant-Man, but he's in the featured artist, the feature actor in there, but he's also in...
I think he's got some big looks, especially because of the Marvel stuff. But I feel like...
American Gangster, he was in American Gangster, which is a big one. Like, he has a few, it's a few of them that he's in.
I want to be like you.
Yeah, with Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart, but he had played a small role in Get Hard. But he definitely has, like, big roles, but then with Pac, I think Pac's biggest role, well, not his biggest role, but like one of his more like infamous roles was, of course, Juice, right? You got Juice, and then you got Gridlock. You have what's another one? He played in Poetic Justice. What's the joint with him and Mickey Rourke? It was a movie with him and Mickey Rourke, and he played as like some gangster. He ended up getting killed at the end. That was gang related? That was a game.
That shit. Look like she was watching that shit.
No, but it's another one. It's not even game. That's what I'm saying. But he's been, because Pac played as like a featured shit. The first movie Pac was in was fucking Nothing But Trouble. Nothing But Trouble. That was with John Candy. Pac was in a fucking movie with John Candy.
Wow.
I feel like, if anything, this just kind of reminds us how booked and busy T.I. been. T.I. been accomplishing a lot on all different fronts. More than a lot of rappers who just only rap and their career just extends past the 10-year mark.
Did a whole series with his family too. Reality.
Of course.
Caught a crazy, wait a second, another thing, he caught a crazy charge that could have put him away for the rest of his fucking life and came back and bounced back off of that as well.
And beef with a ton of artists. Survived all that.
Listen.
Maybe just created trap music.
I just don't think about him controversially as Pac. Like, I think Pac was just the energy he had, where he just didn't give a fuck. I don't think T.I.'s ever had an energy where he just didn't give a fuck about nothing. You know what I mean? Like Pac
we got to see him like turn the corner and make the change.
Right,
you know
right.
We never got to see Pac evolve past that point, unfortunately, because of circumstances.
And I feel like a lot of that shit, I feel like a lot of shit that Pac went through, he didn't even want for himself. He just was like in the middle of it, so he had to just deal with it. He like played the cards, but a lot when you listen to a lot of Tupac's like interviews, it sounded like he wanted to save the world, but he also wanted to destroy the shit. I think that's what made him so great, was because you got to see both sides of the coin of a human being as an artist.
It's true. All right, shout out to Tip. Let's see if we could do a fan question, and then we'll get to a couple of quick hits. This one is from 831 Mobster, and the question is, do you guys think festivals like Rolling Loud or Coachella are better for artists that are coming up compared to them going on tour with a big name like Drake, J. Cole, or Kendrick? Obviously, you're going to have a more diverse fan base at like a Coachella, but if you go to like a Drake or a Kendrick concert, a much more dedicated fan base. What do you think?
I would rather go on tour. I would rather go on tour not only just to learn, like to be able to be a young artist and see a Drake or a Cole or even a Kendrick perform on a nightly basis will help so much with your live show going forward, and that's how a lot of artists make their money, from their live shows. So I would rather go on tour, but also I can't like shun Coachella. What I don't like about the fan perspective on festivals is that nobody knows what's going on. Everybody acts like everybody's just there mindlessly and doesn't know what's going on, and they just bounce into any song. Now, I've seen people go on them same stages and not have the crowd rock. Now, they might rock to the beat, but not have people say their words. A lot of people try to give Lil Baby flack for that at Rolling Loud. It was like, oh, they go crazy to anything. No, they was singing his shit word for word for word. So I think that they both play a place, but I would like to go on tour if I was an artist.
Makes sense.
Yeah, without a doubt, I'm going on tour. Yeah, I was reading over the weekend. I was reading through the lineup for Rolling Loud. Salute to Rolling Loud. So, some of those names, like, they might as well have the janitor go on stage and perform. You don't know, nobody knows. That niggas probably don't know those songs. And it's not really just being disrespectful to those particular smaller artists. I'm just saying, listen, sometimes that's a look for an artist. I feel like those are looks. You're coming up, it shows that, it puts you on a big stage. Again, I don't even think the people who are usually there are gonna be like, oh shit, let me go check this out. When you go on tour at night in, night out, of course you're gonna work on like your performance, work on your set. Because I know a lot of artists, they don't have like a set. When you get 10 minutes or 20 minutes at Rolling Loud, you're not doing a set. You get 15 minutes, you're not doing a set. You get on stage, you tell a DJ to hype it up with whatever type of music, and you're just trying to get it lit just for the Instagram joints. You get me? That's what it is. But when you have to do a set night in and night out, you have a set time, you got to perform, you got to rehearse, this and third. It shows differently. I've seen a couple of these artists where they have their own shows, and if they had gone on tour with, like, say, I don't know, say you went on as an opener for Nicki, you went on as an opener for Drake or whatever, you would probably learn so much in terms of performing. I got to realize, and I won't say any particular names, a lot of these younger artists, when they have their own shows, because they might be able to pull up, they might be able to sell out SOBs, or they might be able to sell out, like, Urban Plaza, but they don't have a show. They don't have a show. They don't have a show at all. And you get to watch that, and they just perform their hits, zero substance there. It's feel like you're just in a club with the artist, and you realize it's not a good performance. So going on tour helps that, but also like if your music is really getting rolled out to like a dedicated audience who probably, and I'm guessing if they brought you on tour, you're either a contrast to the headline performer, or you might be similar. Now you get to kind of eat off that fan base a little bit. I think it does way more for your career. Rolling Loud, probably one of the better looks,
right? Because
like it's everybody's there, right? But if I'm an artist, I want a long-term shit.
Makes sense. Good answer, guys. Thank you for that question. Let's do one more. This one is from Tyler 2 Trill. Question is, when a rapper comes home from jail, that's not worded correctly, but I think he's saying, does it affect the quality of their music? What I'm seeing here. So we talk about, artists coming home, and I mean, you're locked up, like you have time. You're going through a lot of things, right? It always helps, and you have more content to put into your music, but I don't know if necessarily it always makes your music better. What do you think?
Well, I say it depends on the artist, but a lot of artists may not write in jail because they're not inspired. Like being in jail is a tough place, a tough situation to be in. And when you're writing, a lot of artists' writing process comes from what they're going through or what they're seeing. A lot of people might wait till they get home. I feel like Sean, like when everybody was big in, like they wanted an album from Sean, but when Sean put that album, I think Godfather Buried Alive. Me personally, I didn't think it compared to his first album, Sean. Like it wasn't as good. And that might be because you're not waking up on a daily and seeing things that make you want to write or put a little bit more in tune. You coming from a dark place being in jail, so it depends on the artist mostly.
It's true, and then so like an artist like Kevin Gates feels like when he came home, we put out good music. I feel like Freddie Gibbs said when he was like locked up shortly, he felt like he was writing for his life because you don't even know if you're gonna make it home. So it definitely depends on the artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some artists, like, even if they don't write in jail, the material and the content that it starts to inspire when they come out shortly after, granted they come out shortly after, like, it actually gives a lot of content, and it's usually, it's just a palette for good music. I mean, look at Kodak. Kodak, when he got out of jail, he said he was writing in jail, but I always say, how do you really write to, like, no beat? Or you just writing down concepts, you're writing real bars and verses, or you're writing some shit like you like to express. He got his album done really quick off the bat once he got out. And why? If you listen to his whole album testimony, like, he was basically going through, I'm fed up with this shit. This is what I'm going through. And it gave you, when you listen to the music, it gave you a vivid picture of what he was going through. Right. Whether we want to admit it or not, music just be sounding harder when it just actually is real. Like when there's real pain behind some shit, when there's real joy, it doesn't have to be pain, real shit. Again, I said it, I was like, sad as it may be, I listen to YW Melly music differently since he got locked up because I see someone who's conflicted. I listen to Kodak's music differently when you start to read into his story and see how literally when he's saying, like even television, when he's like, he's just been in and out and just incarcerated all the time. You go through a story and you realize like he's almost like so used to it, he doesn't see it as a problem and he's trying to break the cycle. Well, music sounds completely different.
I think music is best when a person's being honest, no matter what you're being honest about. Like, you know, music doesn't always have to come from like this perspective of you being some tough guy. It could also be from you growing up around tough guys and not wanting to be a part of that. Like, I respect a dude who could make a song that says they grew up in like bad circumstances and they might have not went that way, than the person that can say it say it like they really did this shit but was never a part of it. You know, so like for music, I think like whenever a person's just being honest about whatever they're going through, that's when the best music comes through. And especially like with artists that are in prison, some of them like won't even write. Right. You know, it won't even write because it's like a constant reminder of what you like, where you want to be, and you trying to get over with your time. So I think like it, again, depends on the artist. Right. You know, depends on the artist.
I remember when T.I. came out of jail and he wrote Paper Trail. First of all, this nigga he leaped from being, at least just through music, flagrantly like ignorant with the drawl and all that in terms of his speech, came out and, again, in my opinion, his most lyrical album was Paper Trail. That came out after that came out after he got out of prison for I think the second time.
His most lyrical one?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. He got some joints on there. Like,
I think he got the best. I think
and it had the most substance.
I think he got the best songs that he's ever made, but lyrical, I probably gotta go. Me personally, I go with Urban Legend. But like, I get what you're saying with like the substance shit because he had a lot to talk about.
Yeah, even from the intro, he starts the Illy joint. It's just crazy. But regardless, like I felt like that particular album was just a turning point in his life, just like him getting locked up that time. It was just so much substance that when you listen to it, again, if you're following everything going on, it's amazing.
Sure. All right, guys, thank you for sending the questions, and you can keep sending those. We're on Twitter at EverydayStrug with 2 Gs. Just a couple quick updates before we go. So last week, the men who were allegedly involved in YBN Almighty Jay's attack were arrested on completely unrelated charges. So the U.S. Attorney's Office said that members of a New York street gang were arrested on federal attempted murder and firearms charges in connection to the shooting of an off-duty NYPD officer. So we'll stay tuned for updates, but this is some serious shit.
But you know what's so crazy about this? Like, they might have brought a lot of heat on themselves just by doing a video. Like, if you were doing certain things or was a part of certain things and then such a public incident happens and then you got dudes holding up chains, all this other crazy shit, it's like, okay, now we got him.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just silly.
I always be saying, you know, you can't be a famous criminal. So, like, once you start seeking fame, you should probably ditch the life of crime. Right. These niggas thought they could do both simultaneously.
I think you can't be a gangster and you can't be a rapper. You have to pick one. You can't do both.
Well, a lot of rappers portray gangsters.
Yeah, but you can't, like, to really be a gangster, and like, I'm not saying that
that's not say criminal.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's not cool at all, but you cannot do both. Like, you can't do both because if you're going to be a rapper, you got to walk a straight line. Like, you just have to. You can't be a rapper and want to have one foot in the street because it's eventually going to affect what you're going through, and then if you think you're going to have a career, it's going to stop it, you know?
Yeah, these guys clearly weren't that smart. They were chasing clout. Now they'll probably be chasing bail. It's sad and unfortunate because they're not even charged for this current incident, which they'll probably be charged for.
Right.
They'll probably be charged for. And again, it's important when you see like indictments like these come down. It's the feds, which means they probably got you a long time ago.
They've just been
now
waiting.
it was like now it's the headline time.
Right.
You niggas is dumb enough to start chasing clout, get famous. Okay, we'll bring you in on a famous goddamn they have the little news podium shit where they announce that you got arrested. It's kind of sad.
Go to school, kids, please. Get a job.
Well, this is also a reminder that not all of this shit is worth having a rap career. You know what I mean? Like, doing all this, I think they thought it was going to end up with people being rich and famous, and trust me, they did.
I feel like we keep seeing examples of how it doesn't work out that way, but no one's paying attention to that. Oh, well. On a lighter note, before we end with some more sad news, we know that Drake has been the global ambassador for the Toronto Raptors since 2013. So now their team's practice facility has officially been renamed after OVO. It's now called the OVO Athletic Center, CENTRE, because it's Canada, which is dope. So Drake shared a nice message on his Instagram just saying, he's proud to be a part of the city's landscape, the city's identity, et cetera, et cetera. Have you gone to Toronto to visit Drake or the Raptors or anything yet, Ak?
Do I look like going to Toronto to
You're
visit
like his
Drake?
biggest fan. I don't understand why you
I'm
haven't
not no
yet.
biggest fan of his. He's my favorite rapper. But
Man, what's wrong with being that man's biggest fan?
no, because I see there's actually a fan who tattooed Drake across their forehead. I'm not like
We
that.
still want to know where
That's
she
a stan.
is.
Hey, he want to know who that person is too. He was trying to be a tattoo artist. But anyway, I mean, this is a good thing. It's great that Drake is one of the people who is taking the heights of showing love to like your city and your city showing back love to you, and we see it like manifest in things like this. It's a good thing for him.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not gonna say it's gonna make them win because this nigga, he's bad luck for any basketball, football team or whatever team.
They're having a very, very good season.
That's what I'm saying. This post might have fucked them up. Like, if I'm Drake, I would have left this out. But I'm glad, seeing Drake get incorporated into a brand like an NBA team where he was named the global ambassador. I think that's tremendous. And I look around the league and I'm like, what's up with these other teams? Maybe it's just a Canadian things. We see like the mayor or a former mayor of Toronto, they embrace Drake a lot.
What's his name again? Is it Norm or something? We haven't heard
Norm.
from him in a while. Norm.
He embraces Drake so much because he sees a positive representation for that city on a global landscape. So I'm looking at there's mad niggas that rock with other teams. What's up? Atlanta should be doing something like
that. But a lot of these artists aren't as big artists as a Drake or as good as Drake. I mean, it makes sense because it does so much for the brand. Like, it does a lot. Like, nobody... Vince Carter made the Toronto Raptors like a thing in the NBA, like when they first became an expansion team into the league. But Drake has taken it to another level where it's like lifestyle, right? He's taking it to another level of lifestyle. When you think of OVO, that's more of a lifestyle thing. Now it's going to be more kids that may want to sign as free agents coming to Toronto because they know that they can be around a Drake. So it does a lot for their business. But overall, it's a really, really dope thing. I think for a young artist, you can see that, damn, I can do anything, because I would have never thought of seeing shit like this when I was a kid.
That's very true.
Like Rockefeller or Bad Boy having the New York Knicks facility or some shit like that. Well, New York is just a different place than a Toronto, but I didn't never imagine things like that happening.
Atlanta, you up next. Y'all got to rename y'all training facility to the Brick Squad 1017 Trap House, all right? After they do it, they'll be finally accepted. No, they show love to Gucci, though. Every time Gucci's
They
there,
show love to Quavo and them, too.
with him and his wife.
They got a
show
dope
love.
facility, too. They got a really dope facility.
Rename this shit to 1017 Brick Squad, man.
There you go.
All right, so before we go, we just want to send some love to Lil Durk's family. His 24-year-old cousin, Lil Mister, was shot and killed in Chicago on Friday night. He had a breakout track back in 2012 called No Lackin'. Again, 24, he was like super young at the time. So condolences to his family and friends.
Yeah, this is super sad. It came very unexpected. Chicago, even though it might not be the focus, or at least the drill scene still might not be the focus of like rap and like rap globally at this point, or rap on a national scene. But shit like this unfortunately still happens. It's unfortunate that, you know, either gang violence or affiliations and all these things happen. Durk, unfortunately, and his cousin, because of all that stuff in between gangs and this and third, they weren't even on the best of terms, but he did pass away. And I don't know, I just send condolences to his family and everyone who does care about him.
Yeah, condolences to his family. I didn't know much about this. I never heard of this young man until this happened, but I hate to see, you know, young black men dying at the hands of firearms, you know, so hopefully, you know, his family can get through this tough time. Rest in peace.
Yeah. And I encourage all y'all rappers, man, get off Instagram Live, man. Instagram Live is just, it's like now the Blue's Clues to everything that's going on in real life. So,
yeah, really
sad.
Unfortunate. All right, our condolences. All right, guys, that's our show for today. We'll see you here tomorrow, same time on Everyday Struggle.
Rutgers is trash and ball.
Nah, they better than everybody else.